Why I think people might get irritated by an INFJ, and also a misconception on what people would label as overthinking. A lot of, for myself, the thought processes that go on, I don't sort of schedule aside time to overthink a topic or a problem or a person or a situation. There's no real sort of set aside time for that. And similar with the introverted intuition, I don't choose to switch it on and off during the day sort of thing. I don't wake up and go, well, time to turn it on. It's always there. It's either happening consciously or subconsciously. It's sort of just processing, taking in all of the time. It's that constant sponge that's happening. So I either have awareness of I'm in the outside world, I've got a lot of sensory input, so that's affecting me. Or if I'm in a crowd or if I'm talking with a person, I'm absorbing what's happening there. I'm taking that information in. It's a perceiving function. It's a taking in function. You've probably heard also that it's like a funnel sort of thing. It funnels in information or just what it's perceiving. But there's also the introverted thinking in the INFJ stack. So that's where rather than going, well, I feel about things all the time, I tend to say I'm thinking about things most of the time. I think about this rather than I feel about this, even though it's second that extroverted feeling in the function stack. Introverted intuition being the leading function. So a lot of these functions are happening of themselves. There's no sort of real sort of time to actually give attention to any one particular function. There are definitely times where there's NITI loops or where we do have a problem that we will go deep into thinking. And probably in those times, sometimes we will overthink or get ourselves in a loop, a state of almost self-isolation as we try and figure this problem out. And you can't figure something out. If you were to try and figure out a problem that has no extra data added to it, then you're just going to be always considering the same problem. Sometimes it even helps to get into the sensory world, our inferior function, which is extroverted sensing, to break that pattern, to get more input. Where it can actually irritate people, though, is we do have a natural curiosity. We just tend to think about things, whether it's small things, big things, small problems, big problems. It's kind of a curiosity, a hobby in a way to us. There's always something going on the subconscious that we're not conscious of, but a lot of those aha moments when we're doing something completely mundane, be it washing dishes, watching TV, having a conversation with a person. It's not like we set aside and go, how can I be philosophical today? It just happens of itself. Say, for example, I find things curious that people are interested in. And sometimes I have no interest in actually pursuing what they're interested in, but I'm interested in understanding why they're interested in that and what they might be interested in. It's for example, I've been so many times told that crystals are a good thing and gotten into the world of crystals. But me being me, it's I kind of want to understand why having crystals is a good thing. And in my trying to just natural not to pull apart, to degrade or anything like that, just that natural understanding of why it is the way it is, there is a certain level of insecurity in a way that gets touched upon by the people, because crystals are good. Just accept the way that, and I'm just using crystals as an example, but that's the way that they do the thing that they do. It's just accept it. Sort of. It's kind of just blindly accept something. It's they're good sort of thing. I've heard someone else say they're good. They're good for me. They're good for you. Okay, don't ask any questions. But I think, and similar with even emotions, if we take it outside of crystals sort of thing, if I'm talking to someone about just their day or anything like that, and it touches upon things that we're they might not be actually aware that I'm actually exploring this with them, and I'm not even aware that I'm doing it, sort of thing. It's just my natural default of having a conversation. There's that emotion that gets touched upon, that is that well-guarded emotion. And I think where it be crystals, someone's hobby, someone's interest, someone's political beliefs, someone's spiritual beliefs, someone's whatever it is, sort of thing. In my natural just exploration, my curiosity, there's going to be a resistance, a pushback. To explore that is to understand what's happening on my side. If you look at something where there might be some benefit to something, like say the crystals were doing their thing, how do we actually improve? How do I do this in other parts of my life, like with breathwork or with EFT tapping, sort of thing? It's like, how can I incorporate this in my day? Does speaking out loud with the EFT tapping have any difference to like saying it in my head, sort of thing? It's like ways to actually improve, ways to understand, ways to get better at something, rather than like what the person is perceiving as. This person's asking me all these questions. It's like, do they think it's like nonsense or anything? Because normally when I'm doing that, I'll start to notice the person starting to get irritated. It's like, just accept it the way it is and all that. And I think sometimes what that is, and I don't mean this in a demeaning way, but the level of understanding of just accepting things the way there is that surface level understanding of, I've got someone that's asking me a bit more deep and meaningful questions that I might not be able to answer. And even though I firmly believe in something, it's making me feel not good. It's making me feel a bit insecure because I'm not able to answer to the level of what they were actually asking, sort of thing. And you could say, well, curiosity kills the cat. In some regards, it's like if you worry yourself into an NIT loop and neglect your health, then there will be another part of that. The other way to look at it is how did they know that curiosity killed the cat? It's like, did it take someone to observe a cat being curious, and then the results of the findings of the cat dying, they then shared with this sort of thing. So the curiosity killing the cat took a curious person to observe that. And why didn't they stop the cat? So you can see that as overthinking, but it's also like a way to explore something. It's like a way of different understanding. I mean, once again, scientific discovery, the Latin root of the word science is actually knowledge, it's experience. You break down the word, that's what it means. So, and when it comes to other people, it's like, I think for the INFJ is to know when to persist and when to pull back. Know that you're probably touching upon something that will turn a very peaceful person into a very volatile person. It's also understanding that's their passion, that's their belief system in a way, and their belief system is how they perceive the world. And you could see a belief system as I believe in crystals, I believe in this spiritual thing, I believe in this political party, I believe in this view of this, whatever it is. And to challenge that is challenging the person. And probably even challenging is the wrong word. Exploring that is, you're going to eventually touch upon that landmine. So there's that thing where that curiosity would kill a relationship, would kill a friendship, would kill a job role, sort of thing, because sometimes that landmine that you're touching upon is the actual truth of the person, is the truth of a situation, is the truth of a perception that a person's been trying to put out into the world. And that truth, that's something that person's also constructed a belief system around to actually sometimes cover up on. So in that natural curiosity, we've come along and go, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And the person blows up in our faces, sort of thing. And the other thing is like our natural just curiosity of thinking about the world and of people, and that can actually be an isolating thing in the sense of not even an NITI leap, because you come across things as you're just a natural curious person, that differ to narratives, to what people say, to society say, and you just thinking this is completely normal because thinking that everyone thinks this way, bring that up in conversation, and that's where you tend to have those looks at you going, okay, well, that was completely bizarre sort of thing, as far as like everyone's like following the narrative of this and that. And you go, well, here's this counter argument, thinking, well, everyone likes to look at counter arguments or a counter point of view. And it's like, that's where it's like, oh, he's not one of us. Yeah. So I think that's where I think with that, the INFJ curiosity, we do overthink, we do get anxious, we do freeze up. We're not immune to that. But I think the misconception is that we're setting aside time on our day to sit in a room just overthinking. Most of the times if we're in a room by ourselves, it's because we spend a lot of time outside and it's freaking taxing on the emotions. We need to recharge, and we might be just perceiving what we've happened in that day as a way of debriefing with ourselves. That whether we're just sitting there going, I really need to overthink this problem sort of thing, I think that might be a misconception. But I'll put more thought into that. I'll schedule some time aside to really overthink that, see if I've actually portrayed this in the accurate light. If other INFJs could really think about this as well, we'll just have a really big thinking session together. But yeah, once again, it's something that just we naturally do in the background. It's kind of like with breathing. It's our autonomic nervous system just naturally taking in with the introverted intuition, seeing how we think and feel about that, and sometimes we'll relate that to other people in very long-winded videos, which I might touch upon in another video, because I think that also leads to another misconception about us. So I'm from Eflowtion Support Services. I offer EFT Tapping online. So if you're ever interested in exploring some of these emotions and having them touched upon and released through EFT Tapping, then check out eflowtionsupportservices.com. Bye for now.